At the beginning of the movie, we see a woman named Alya opening the fridge. Suddenly, a loud crashing sound comes from outside the house. Alya cautiously goes to check the noise. Her eyes suddenly fall on a dead body wrapped in a shroud. But when she turns on the light, it's gone. As soon as she turns off the light again, the dead body appears right in front of her face. Alya starts trembling in fear. At that moment, she hears the voice of her daughter Jasmine calling her from outside. Hearing the voice, she slowly steps outside. Suddenly, Alya sees a freshly dug grave in front of her. As she steps into the grave, she notices a coffin inside, from which someone is rattling. Terrified, Alya reaches out her hand, and the coffin breaks open. A hand shoots out and grabs her. Just then, Alya jolts awake in her car seat. It was all just a terrifying dream. Her husband Raka comforts her. In reality, they are on their way to Alya's mother Devi's house, with their daughter Jasmine along for the ride. Jasmine is super excited to meet her grandma and show her new doll, Bun Bun. Eventually, they reach Pangu village. But when they arrive at Devi's house, they notice all the lights are off and the place is engulfed in darkness. They call out to Devi, but there's no response. Raka notices the door is unlocked. Surprised, they step inside. Where could Devi have gone, leaving the door open? As they look around, they suddenly hear a rustling sound. When they approach, they see a shadowy figure sitting in the rocking chair. The figure stands and turns on the light. It's Devi. Jasmine runs to her and hugs her tightly. Devi explains that she dozed off while sitting, which is why the lights weren't on. After checking in with everyone, they all sit down at the dining table. Jasmine introduces her doll Bun Bun to her grandma. After dinner, Devi takes Jasmine to her room to put her to bed. Later in their own room, Alya tells Raka that she will never leave her mother alone again. They will bring her to the city with them. Raka agrees. Late at night, Devi wakes up to find Jasmine isn't in bed. She hears the sound of Jasmine laughing and playing. Devi goes to the living room and sees Jasmine sitting there as if she's playing with someone. Devi looks around confused, but Jasmine is alone, playing only with her doll, Bun Bun. The next morning, Devi asks Alya to go to the market to pick up some ingredients for a recipe. Alya agrees, and Raka also offers to go with her. On the way, they meet Mr. Basri, who handles all the funerals in the village. Alya and Raka greet him, exchange a few words, and then move on. Back at home, Devi hears the sound of Jasmine playing again. Suspicious, she goes to check. She clearly sees that someone is tossing the doll, Bun Bun, toward Jasmine. It seems like some invisible presence is playfully interacting with her. Devi asks, "Who are you playing with?" Jasmine replies, "With my friend," even though no one else is in the room. Devi thinks Jasmine might just be making up a story, so she gets busy in the kitchen. But fear is clearly visible in Devi's eyes and on her face. Meanwhile, Alya and Raka reach the market and go to Mavar's shop. They are very happy to meet after a long time. Alya introduces Raka to Mavar. During the shopping, Mavar's daughter Nani also arrives, and Mavar introduces her to Alya as well. After dinner that night, Alya tells her mother that she wants to take her to the city so that she can be properly cared for. But Devi firmly refuses, saying she doesn't want to leave the village. Alya tries to convince her, but Devi sticks to her decision. In the next scene, Jasmine is sitting with her mother looking through her childhood photo album. One picture of a beautiful lake makes Jasmine insist on visiting it. Alya agrees to take her there the next day. The following morning, Raka and Devi are in the kitchen while Jasmine is getting ready. Raka tells her to be back before lunch. After that, mother and daughter set off toward the lake. Once they leave, Raka again talks to Devi about moving to the city. Devi says she doesn't want to be a burden on her daughter and son-in-law. Raka assures her that serving her would be a pleasure for them. Devi nods with a worried expression, agreeing silently. However, her heart isn't ready to leave this place. Meanwhile, as they reach the lake, Alya receives an important call from her office. She stands aside and starts talking on the phone, while Jasmine walks a little ahead alone. Alya gets so absorbed in the call that she doesn't even notice when Jasmine disappears from her sight. Suddenly, when Alya realizes Jasmine is nowhere to be seen, she panics. Frantically searching, she reaches the edge of the lake. She hears bubbles rising in the water, and when she goes closer, she sees Jasmine's doll, Bun Bun, floating on the surface. Moments later, Jasmine's lifeless body emerges from the water. Alya immediately jumps in and pulls her daughter out. She breaks down, crying uncontrollably. In the next scene, at night, Alya lights a lamp and gives her daughter a final bath. Meanwhile, Raka sits alone in the car, crying, and Debbie's heart is breaking too. Preparations for the funeral begin. Mavar and Basri arrive as well. Everyone prays together for Jasmine. Suddenly, Basri notices that Jasmine's corpse is looking at her and smiling in a terrifying way. Strangely, no one else sees this. Meanwhile, the weather turns very bad. There's no transport available, and on top of that, Raka's car won't start. With no way to take Jasmine's body to the city, they have no choice but to bury her in the courtyard behind Debbie's house. The next morning, Raka and Alya stand by Jasmine's grave. They place Bunbun, the doll, near the grave and decide to leave the village. Before leaving, they say their final goodbyes to Devi and head out. On the way, they meet Bansuri, and Raka thanks her for everything. Bansuri says that if there's ever any need in the future, they should definitely let him know. After that, they leave the village and head to the city. Later, the scene shows Debbie looking at an old photo with her mother. Her mother's words start echoing in her ears. No matter what happens, never leave this land. And if you die, be buried right here. Suddenly, Debbie is startled by a thudding sound. Nervously, she goes to check, but the sound continues. Then in front of her, a very tall corpse wrapped in a shroud appears. It was much taller than normal, and Debbie froze in fear upon seeing it. The scene cuts, showing Bansuri walking somewhere at night. Suddenly, he feels like someone is standing nearby. When he turns to look, no one is there. But after hearing the thudding sound again, he looks back and sees the corpse standing right in front of him. Terrified, he immediately starts coughing violently. The scene then shifts to Raka in his city home. He is holding a photo of Jasmine to his chest and crying. At that moment, Alya receives a call on her phone. Angrily, Raka says, "You all went together, didn't you? The phone has become more important to you than your daughter." Indirectly, he blames Alya for Jasmine's death. He calls her selfish and says, "As a mother, you failed." Hearing this, Alya stands there with tears in her eyes. At that exact moment, Alya receives a message from Debbie. "Always pray for Jasmine. My heart says something very bad is going to happen." After that, Debbie and Bansuri are shown talking. Debbie says that she saw a corpse, and it gave her a very strange feeling. Bansuri says the same thing happened to him, which is why he ran away. Seeing a shrouded corpse in the village means a major danger is coming. Debbie also says that ever since Jasmine came, strange things have been happening in the house. She knows every corner of this house, and the supernatural events remind her of an old incident that happened with her mother. She expresses her fear. "I'm afraid this is connected to the past, but I was just a child back then." She remembers that Bansuri was also there that night. She directly asks him, "What really happened that night?" The next morning, Raka prepares breakfast, but Alya leaves feeling sad, without eating. After Alya goes, Raka's eyes suddenly fall on the Bunbun doll. He's shocked because they had left the doll in Jasmine's grave. How did it get here? Meanwhile, Alya meets a psychiatrist named Sarah and opens up about her depression. Sarah explains to her that no parent could ever imagine having to bury their own child. But you can't bear this pain alone. You and Raka need to get through this grief together. Later, when Alya comes home, Raka asks if she brought Bunbun with her. He reminds her that they had left it on Jasmine's grave. Alya says she didn't bring it. She tells Raka that now is not the time to play the blame game. They need to support each other, or they won't be able to move on. The scene shifts to Jasmine's grave, where many insects crawl over the soil. Suddenly, Jasmine's body starts to move. Her shroud tears open, and her hand comes out. In the next moment, she completely climbs out of the grave. After that, the story shows a pregnant woman in the village whose time to deliver has come. Her husband goes out to get help. Once he's gone, the woman hears strange noises inside the house and gets scared. Suddenly, Jasmine's ghost appears and presses hard on her stomach. In pain, the woman screams, but she can't escape. The ghost kills her and her unborn child. The scene cuts to Alya, deep in thought, in the bathroom. She bends down to wash her face and suddenly finds herself at the edge of the same lake where Jasmine had drowned. She hears a voice screaming for help. Jasmine's ghost emerges from the water and drags Alya into the lake. Alya jolts awake on the bed, completely soaked. Seeing this, Raka is shocked and asks what happened. Alya explains that she dreamt Jasmine was asking for help. She says they need to go to Jasmine's grave in the village immediately. Raka reminds her that Jasmine has been dead for a long time, but Alya, as proof, shows her drenched body. She asks, "So, Bun Bun, who brought her here?" She thinks Jasmine is signaling her. Alya makes it clear that if Raka doesn't go with her, she will go alone. After this, they are seen on the way to the village. As soon as they enter the village, they see some people carrying a body to bury. They reach Debbie's house and go near the grave at the back. But the sight there leaves them stunned. Jasmine's grave is open and the body is missing. They run to Debbie. Crying, Debbie admits that the curse is real. She explains that years ago, one night the villagers attacked their house. They accused Debbie's mother of practicing black magic and harming children. Debbie was only 7 years old at the time. The villagers were threatening to burn down their house even though her mother was completely innocent. She remembers her mother telling her to hide inside. Her mother went out alone to face the villagers. A man held a child in his arms, accusing her mother of casting spells. The villagers started shouting to kill her, fearing that her future descendants might harm them. In response, her mother pulled out a knife and declared that all the accusations were false. She wasn't a black magician. She warned that they might kill her, but they would never be able to destroy her lineage. Then she cursed the entire village. She said that if any of her descendants were buried in this soil, their body would not decay. They would rise from the grave to take revenge for the injustice. After that, she committed suicide in front of everyone, while little Basri stood and watched everything. Debbie says, "What we feared has come true. Jasmine has risen from the grave, but we don't know where her body is now." Alya asks, "What should we do now?" Just then, Bansuri arrives and says there's only one way. He warns that Jasmine must be properly buried outside the village in her rightful place. Otherwise, she will continue taking lives, one after another, as a demon. "We need to find Jasmine immediately," he says. Debbie agrees and tells Alya to stay home and pray. But Alya insists on going with them. But Bansuri explains to her that Jasmine is no longer her daughter. She gives Alya a prayer book and tells her to stay at home, and then they leave. The scene cuts to Mar's shop. While closing the shop, she hears her daughter Nani's voice. She runs inside and sees Nani curled up on the bed, trembling in fear, pointing toward a corner. But Mar can't see anything there. She approaches and asks what's wrong. Nani gestures for her to stay quiet and points under the bed. When Mar looks underneath, she is shocked. The real Nani is trembling with fear under the bed. Nani says, "Mom, the demon is on the bed." Terrified, Mar looks up, and at that moment, Jasmine's ghost strangles her to death. Nani screams, and the scene shifts to Alya, who is praying at home. In the middle of her prayers, Alya hears Jasmine crying, calling for help. Alya slowly moves toward the sound and notices muddy footprints leading toward a room. When she enters the room, she feels as if someone has touched her neck. There, she sees the Bun Bun doll. Holding the doll, she follows Jasmine's voice outside. Suddenly, hearing splashing noises, she goes toward Jasmine's old grave. The voice seems to be coming from the coffin. Alya kneels down, crying. Then behind her, Jasmine appears in human form. But in the next moment, the ghost of Jasmine emerges from the grave and grabs Alya by the throat. Alya struggles and shouts at it to stop. During the struggle, she drops the Bun Bun doll. Seeing the doll calms Jasmine's spirit a little, and she releases Alya. Just then, Raka arrives and yells that this isn't Jasmine. But Jasmine becomes aggressive again. As Raka tries to save Alya, Jasmine lifts him into the air with her power and begins to strangle him. They are all suspended in the air. At that moment, Bansuri arrives and starts reciting prayers. The effect of the prayer weakens Jasmine, and she vanishes after throwing Alya down. Suddenly, Jasmine jumps onto Bansuri's back and tries to strangle him, but Bansuri continues reciting the prayer. Alya is crying for her daughter. Bansuri keeps placing her hand on Jasmine's forehead, continuously chanting mantras, and eventually manages to calm her down. As soon as Bansuri relaxes even a little, the ghost awakens again and attacks. Seeing no other way, Bansuri asks everyone to pray together. When they all pray together, the demon finally leaves Jasmine's body. Alya, Raka, and Devi collapse onto Jasmine's lifeless body, crying uncontrollably. The next morning, they properly bury Jasmine in the cemetery. For the peace of her daughter's soul, Alya places a Bun Bun doll on her grave. And with that, the movie ends. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section, and also subscribe to this channel for more stories like this.